you can build your spreadsheet, but then you have to live that spreadsheet out in the day to day. We have achieved our target revenue goals throughout the year, kind of fluctuating with the seasons and accounting for that seasonality and when it's going to peak and when it's going to lull. Um, but you just don't know when that's coming through the door, right? Like
Yeah.
there are weeks where you feel like assessments are down or conversions are lower, and then there's weeks where it's gangbusters and you can't believe how much you know uh, forecasted revenues on the books.
Well, Stephen, thanks for joining us today. And for everybody out there listening, this is Stephen Eppling, owner of Preservan Athens. How's your day going, man?
It's good, Ty. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. This is not the first time we spoke today, but we're going to pretend like it is, right?
That's right. Do it for the camera.
That's right. So in this interview, we're going to be just talking to Stephen and learning about kind of what his experience has been as a new business owner in the historic preservation, the home restoration, the wood repair space. So, Stephen, to start us off, let's circle back, just highlight level. If you want to learn more, there'll be like the show notes, and you can watch his original interview. But tell us when you got started, and just high level what you were doing prior to becoming an owner.
Yeah. So we got started here at Preservan Athens just a little over a year ago. So we had our official ribbon cutting downtown at the Chamber of Commerce on September 4th, 2024. And so we're now here at the 1st of October in 2025, and 12 months has flown by. And it's been a lot of fun. Prior to starting, Ty, you and I got connected through um, the grapevine, mutual connection. And I was really in a place at my prior career in corporate marketing that I was exploring what entrepreneurship could look like at really my phase of career and my age and, the place of life that I was at. And so you caught me at the right time. I was really open to exploring opportunities, and Preserving really grabbed a hold of me at the time. And so very, very happy that we had that conversation.
Yeah, no, we did catch you at the right time because I think, you were on a path to being a business owner of some sort, whether it was through kind of a mergers acquisition type thing or through an acquisition type thing, or another franchise or something else. You were on that path, so we're definitely fortunate that you joined our team, and really you've had, I mean, some bumps and bruises along the way. So, but you've also had some pretty awesome successes. And so, in this interview, we're gonna share both of those things. So let's just get us kicked off with looking back, just over 12 months now, first year. What are you the most proud of
Mm,
as the owner of Preservan Athens?
yeah. I would say I'm most proud of the team that we have today.
Yeah,
That's really the most crucial aspect of it all. And when I looked at year one, we wanted success when it came to jobs coming in, leads generated, all that stuff, all the metrics of the business. But paramount to our success was going to be building a strong foundation in the people that we have working for Preservan Athens. And so, yeah, I have my lead tech transitioning into effectively a territory manager role, Kyler, who was my first hire. He's been a phenomenal team member, and I really view him as a partner in this business at this point. I just trust him a lot. He's gained uh, just so much operational know-how through the past 12 months. And that wealth of knowledge really translates to us being able to transfer that to newer hires, new technicians as we grow the team,
yeah.
and then uphold a level of quality that we want to provide to our neighbors.
Yeah, man, that's good. And of course, we're all big fans of Kyler here. He came out to training with you. He was at our Bright Path conference event this last February. And so just a great all around guy. Uh, this isn't one of the questions I had prepared, but it's something that comes to mind as you talk about this, and others that are listening that are thinking about franchise ownership. How important was it to get that first good hire?
Yeah. Um, I, I would say it's up there. The owner of any business really needs to have the agency and capability within themselves to drive that business forward. That's going to be the first step. But then identifying an individual who you can trust, who has strong work ethic, and who demonstrates really a capacity for more than just the blocking and tackling of
Yeah.
doing the service. I saw that prior to even hiring Kyler. I knew him personally, and so I saw that in him and created a plan early on for his development within the team as the business grew. And all those things align, right? Like we have a performance incentive that drives business growth, and then that enables career growth for
Hmm.
him and for our technicians. And so it was very important. And really, I think the team structure that we want to achieve here in like the present day is to move myself out of the field and out of the day to day assessments, sales, and overseeing project management,
Hmm.
and moving him into that space. It just makes our team more resilient. We can adjust to changes as needed, and uh, I can focus on higher leverage tasks,
Yeah.
focusing on things that we can do to continue to grow beyond the day to day operations.
Yeah, man, that's so true. And I think that when we look at our franchisees and we have these conversations, whether we're having them kind of on something like this, we're just like going to share it publicly, but we're having them internally, is that success comes from, yeah, following the KPIs and following the system. But really, more than that is like building that team and getting that first great hire. It kind of goes into like concepts around like traction, where you're talking about that integrator, that second in command, that person, how quickly that can help you kind of scale up, and like you talked about, get to a point where you can do kind of next level task and next level strategy for the business. And so sitting here today, we're in the early fall in the field right now today, this last week, like how many hours are you actively in the field, and how many hours are you kind of more running the business from a phone or behind the scenes behind a computer today?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say we're moving towards kind of a 20 to 25-hour work week
Okay.
for myself. Year one, and this goes back to I think setting your personal goals and expectations for what you want the business to look like. But year one was bootstrap mode. We're
Yeah.
launching and we're doing everything we need to do to establish ourselves in our market. The system's there. We followed the playbook. We had some learnings, right? Like you can't
Yeah, we
predict
did. We all
everything.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and but all of those go towards we adapt to those and we incorporate them into our best practices. But yeah, today now I mean the way the responsibilities are spread across the team, that's freed up a significant portion of my time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, so you hinted at, kind of these learning, these things that we learned along the way in the last 12 months. So, 12 months ago, what was or I guess, how did your expectations change of being a business owner, running a business over the last 12 months? Like, was it what you expected? Or were some things that kind of like that you weren't expecting to happen?
Yeah. I think the biggest through line is that you can build your spreadsheet,
Yeah.
but then you have to live that spreadsheet out in the day to day. And so the best like example I can give of that is like for the most part, we have achieved our target revenue goals throughout the year. Kind of fluctuating with the seasons and accounting for that seasonality and when it's going to peak and when it's going to lull. Um, but you just don't know when that's coming through the door, right? Like
Yeah.
there are weeks where you feel like assessments are down or conversions are lower, and then there's weeks where it's gangbusters and you can't believe how much you know forecasted revenues on the books. And so riding that wave, I think mentally it's challenging and it's an
Yeah.
adjustment, especially transitioning from like a W-2 structure where you show up, you clock in, and you get paid on the same day every month. Um, it takes resiliency. And really like I think that's within a person, but you also develop that skill set and that
Right.
characteristic, right? Like you learn to ride the waves a little more smoothly each time. And two, like recognizing when you have control over certain aspects of the business and when you don't. And I think that because you can burn yourself out focusing on the things that you can't control,
Mhm.
and really focusing that energy on the things that you can. Um, just it helps you have that longevity and that endurance to get through these
Yeah.
things.
Man, that learn to ride the wave as a business owner, man, that is such a critical thing because that is like and to your point, like business, though, you can look back over a successful year financially. You can look in the rearview mirror and you can say, we hit the number, right? Like there it is. We hit it. But it wasn't like your comparison of W2, it wasn't like whatever that number was, divide by 52, and we hit it
N-
every single week. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
some weeks you are just like, I don't know where I'm gonna have time in the day to do all like we are winning, it's awesome. And then it can feel like it is like just kind of like you're just getting jerked around because then the next week it is how are we ever going to survive? Like we haven't gotten a phone call all week. And you're investing the same money in advertising, you're doing the same things, and it is, to your point, it's that consistency. It is really just like, and you use this word when we talk about marketing, but it's a drumbeat. You just keep doing those things, and when you continue to execute, when you continue, then it's like then that next crazy week comes and you're winning
mhm,
again. And
yeah,
man, I love that comparison because that is the life of an entrepreneur, for sure, for sure.
mhm,
Uh, so outside of learning to ride the wave, that is a muscle I think that we develop over time. Uh, but like a challenge, like what what's been the biggest thing that like you look back and you say, man, this is something I got wrong. This was something that was really challenging. This was a time where I kind of was questioning, maybe not my decision, but I was kind of questioning myself. Uh, what was the time that happened? And then follow up. We're sitting here 12 months later. How did you overcome that?
yeah. And I'd say the one that sticks out the most in my mind is it goes back to the team. We we aim to vet and hire the right individuals for specifically the technician role. And by and large, like we've hit on those marks. We haven't done a ton of hiring and had a tremendous amount of turnover. Um, but there are just aspects of other people that you can't control.
Yeah.
And so we had some, bumps along the way in terms of um, the roster that we had.
Hmm.
And I think I learned a lot about uh, how to just how to communicate with your team, how to have like structured touch points that allow you to take stock, take temperature of how things are going, um, and really, just be cognizant of like things that may be beyond like your kind of purview as the owner. And with that, just I think being proactive in maybe always having kind of an open referral line, like,
Yeah.
hey, like, do you know anybody who'd be a great fit for this role? Not that we're hiring right now, but there will come a day inevitably that we are, and having that, that kind of pool to go to, we benefited greatly from that. I didn't know that I was going to benefit from that, but we had a really strong referral for, I guess, our third hire, and he's been with us since April of this year, and has been a tremendous team leader, and really, I would say, is turning into a leader in the technical aspects of the business. So yeah.
Yeah. And I won't share too much. And you're being really, really polite about it. But of course, throughout this journey last year, and I think that this is pretty typical for anybody in small business or business in general, is uh sometimes a hire doesn't work out. Sometimes you hire somebody, they just don't work out. And it can be your first hire, it can be your second hire, it can be, and then it can happen over and over and over again. So you had one that obviously it wasn't the right fit. When you look back at that, knowing what you know now, uh, were there any signs that, like, I've got somebody that might that you were missing, or was there something that you should have been doing that you could have caught it earlier if you would have been engaged in a different way with that individual?
Yeah. I Real brass tacks, just face-to-face time. This
Yeah.
Our particular team member was a little bit far flung from where myself and Kyler live. We'd make an effort to see the full team, when we had jobs in proximity to each other. But we really, like, our weekly huddles were virtual.
Hmm.
We have two on Monday and Friday just to kind of book in the week. And I think just that in-person touch point would have told me a lot more about some of the early signs, than, what I was able to see virtually.
Yeah.
And it was a quick, like, kind of development, and so it did. I, there were signs that we needed to have a conversation. That conversation was on the calendar, and then preemptively that the situation kind of, resolved itself. And so I think that we've now, since then, we have a biweekly in-person huddle where we protect the calendar, we schedule jobs around it, and it's just really important for team morale, like, just culture
Yeah.
building and, like, feeling like you're in this together. And then two, like, I get eyes on the vehicles. I just get a sense for how, like, how things are going. And yeah.
I think that, and the challenge with this is that a lot of this comes from, in this season where this came up, you were having, like, you were busy. And this is where it's funny how, like, some of our biggest challenges come from our best times
Mhm.
financially. It's like, man, I'm looking at the books and, like, we're booked out, we're scheduling out. I'm even thinking about maybe I'm thinking about adding, and then you realize that, like you said, like, you kind of taken your eye off of something, and there's other things you can take your eye off of, and then realize that you kind of missed something there. And that's such a good point to build the culture, and in running a home base mobile business, you do have to be really intentional about that, because we can kind of forget, coming from that W-2 job, that, or even coming from a place where, like, I have, like, an office, right, that people can come to. When you don't have that, you've got to create that space to have that space we come to, we check in, we get that face to face, we inspect our equipment, and then we reset expectations, or communicate expectations for the going forward for the next few weeks.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh That's good, and that's super helpful. So a lot of business success is ultimately about training, is about you getting the right training, then you delivering that training to your team so you can build that team. So let's first start about, like, what was that training like at Oklahoma City? As far, and then how did that training prep you, and how have you continued to train your team, kind of using that as a launching pad?
Yeah, so when Kyler and I came out to Oklahoma City for our training week, we neither one of us had any epoxy experience whatsoever. So we were starting completely from scratch. And in that 5-day period, the corporate team took us from, just getting familiarized with the epoxy itself, how to work it, what the process is for an effective rot repair
Hmm.
with the system that we use, and then doing some controlled demo work where we're y'all have a great setup there with like a faux kind of front fascia or front elevation of a home, so we made multiple different types of repairs, and then finishing off the week on an actual neighbor's house, a very very nice house that y'all trusted us with. And two kind of aspects of that: one, just the technical knowledge of how to complete or how to do the service well and effectively. I mean, we put a 10-year guarantee on our work, so you got to do it right.
Yeah, that's right.
um and then two, kind of the like the nerves aspect of actually working on a real
Hmm.
house, getting that, just like breaking the seal on that, and just feeling like, okay, we can do this. We've been trained and we have a lot of oversight here. That's a big, kind of mental hurdle to get over, especially when you get back into your own territory and the ads get turned on, the phone starts ringing, and people are booking assessments for you, and you're quoting them real dollars to do this thing. And it's I'd say that week long training is crucial to feeling like just confident enough to go back and start this business, and then also
Yeah,
the competence that you kind of instill in us, like this is how you do what we do.
yeah.
So yeah, it was really really important.
It was really
um,
cool to see specifically for you guys is that, I was out there, I was out there in September when you had the ribbon cutting, and at the time you were training one of your new technicians, and it was fun to see that, like, I show up and it was at your house, and you got the garage open, you got the tables laid out, and it was very, very similar
oh yeah.
to kind of a miniature version of what we had taken you through. So you had it all laid
Yeah.
out. You had the little sample board things to do and then you had I think there was like the jam of the garage door of your house was rotting, and so you were showing that. And so yeah, you guys were just kind of doing a version of that,
Yep.
and I'm guessing that still that's probably the way that Kyler is still kind of following that process as he's onboarding new technicians.
Yeah, that's the playbook. We borrow a lot from that week. We condensed it a little bit, but then yeah, we effectively we take them out of the field for a couple of days to get the basics down.
Yep.
We have them, if available to us, we worked on just some. If it's my house or if it's Kyler's house, somebody that we know, perhaps we'll do a comp repair where it's just like,
Hmm.
hey, this is a trainee, but we want to get them real world experience, and so we do some of that, and then we transition them into shadowing alongside full time technicians so that they can be on real job sites. Seeing with that too, like just seeing the things that go into the tech role beyond just making the repair, right? Like you have a project that you're managing as a technician. So like
Yeah.
how do you effectively break down that project and work towards, the goal of getting it completed in time? And then obviously we'll find kind of strategically give them different repairs so that they can build their little, skill set of what they can do and build that over time.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff. You guys have, I think, and most of our franchises have this really kind of committed to your community. And I'm completely switching gears here, but you guys have really committed to your community, really committed to your neighbors. How has How has the city of Athens and the surrounding areas, how have they received Preservan? And has anything kind of surprised you of that reception in the first year?
Yeah, man, that's been the coolest aspect for me personally. I live in this community. Prior to Preservan, I worked outside of it, and so I enjoyed living in Athens. That's why I, chose to put myself through like a 3 hour round trip commute, because I valued the community more than living elsewhere. But so ribbon cutting happens. The PR team that Preservan used did a phenomenal job of getting our story out there and what we were bringing to the community. We ended up on the front page of the local newspaper. Unbeknownst to me, I literally the way I found this out was um, I'm going to a real estate uh, networking event at a country club, and I'm in the vehicle, step out, and a gentleman who's about to go play tennis stops me and he's like, "Hey, you were on the front page of the newspaper." And I knew the story had run online, so I'd seen it, but I had
Right.
no idea it printed. And yeah, sure enough, like I have it. It's in my office somewhere. It's yeah, front page story, and that was really really cool. I mean, you just feel that like it's like
Yeah.
wow, okay, we're here. Um, the you know we we've been able to connect with a lot of really great community members through really like business development activities, just like getting out, making ourselves known to key decision makers. And that's been a great aspect of not only like growing the business, but also just having a network of individuals that I, as an owner, can also just call
Yeah.
on, like, just building that, that really you have like kind of this shared brain space when you run into different problems or things that you may not know. Being able to call on somebody who's an expert in various aspects of home repair has
Hmm.
been crucial. And some of those, like one in particular, has become a kind of a career business owner mentor of mine. And then the historic preservation aspect of it. I mean, that's like at the core of the mission of Preservan, and that's really where we said we're going to go deep here. So we're partnered with our with Historic Athens, the local nonprofit, um, and that's been just a really cool relationship to develop, and then the opportunities that's opened up as well. We ended up receiving an award from them this past spring for a repair that we made on a local historic landmark. And so just like I don't know, I couldn't have anticipated any of those things happening just in one year.
Yeah.
And so all of those really just you feel just a part of the community. When you put yourself out there, it's cool.
Yeah, man. And you guys have done a great job of getting out there. And a lot of it's around just being authentic, being engaged, and then doing high quality work. And with that high quality work, you think about all the cool projects that you've had a chance to work on this last year. Is there any one that you go like, this is the coolest thing we got to work on? We are just like this is cool.
Yeah. It was early on. I think we touted this a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
so milk this cow, but we had the opportunity to work on really a cornerstone building like on our main street in downtown Athens. It's called the Franklin House. It's a pre-Civil War building built in the 1830s. It's a gorgeous like four-story structure, brick with a lot of wood windows. The owner of the building saw our advertisements, just came through a Facebook or Instagram ad and reached out. And he had just spent, I think it was $360,000 having replica windows made by a very skilled local carpenter, I'm sure. But it's a lot of money. And
Yeah.
and he was looking at phase two, thinking, okay, I have 30 some odd more windows to go. And he happened to see our ad. That was a really cool project in that one, it's a tremendous landmark building. We love working on that stuff. But it really threw us into the deep end quickly. Uh, I had to get our team, well, myself and Kyler, boom lift certified. We had to, since we were blocking kind of a main like not intersection, but main throughway, we had to file a traffic diversion plan with the city. And then I said, well, I've spent enough money on this lift and time on this diversion plan. We were like, this is a great advertising opportunity. So we hung a Preservan banner, a big Preservan banner from that thing while we were out there for a few weeks. So that
Yeah.
was a cool project. That
No,
was great.
and it's crazy because you're talking about like how quickly it happened. When I was there in September and doing the ribbon cutting, we walked the project. You like
Hmm.
And this is one of those times where, and this is the fun and scary part of being a business owner, and you learn about cash flow management. But it's when you you're like you've been open like 60 days,
Yeah, maybe not even. Like, it was quick. Yeah.
and you're on this like massive project uh, that it was like more than a month's worth of a typical yeah, in just one project. So
Mhm.
it's really cool, you guys, and but rolled your sleeves up. But I do think that that kind of speaks to, outside of some of the diversion plan and the boom lift certified, it does speak to kind of like just the scalability of just the repair service, that
Yeah.
it you can do larger scale things. So a lot of our stuff, our average tickets are 1,800 to 2,500, but you can just take and multiply that without having to really get a lot of more infrastructure. I mean,
Mhm.
you had to get a little bit, but you got to do a whole lot more pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, Question here, I think is probably relevant right now, as with all things, but uh, you left a career at in corporate America in Atlanta. So how has owning a business affected your lifestyle? How has it affected your work life balance, your family life? Like, uh, we've been doing this interview, and we're going to edit it out, but we've gotten a few interruptions along the way. Uh, so how has it impacted those things?
Mm, I tell people from my old job who I stay in touch with, and like, this is gonna be either the best or the worst thing that's ever happened to me, because once you get a taste of there's really no going back. It's having, absolute control over my schedule and what I'm prioritizing. It's really, in a lot of ways, you rely on your team, but like, as the owner, you are the decision maker, who drives the business forward. And I really relish that. It is invigorating. It is exciting. Like, all these things where, the monotony of my old jobs, and sometimes the, arbitrary nature of the work that I was doing,
Yeah.
none of that exists anymore. Like, everything is do or die. And so it's great. Like, if you want that purpose, I think this is a great opportunity. Yeah, work life balance. I mean, I love living and working in the community I live in.
Yeah.
It's just, there's some added responsibility that comes with that, because you now have a very real reputation to uphold.
Yeah.
Like, we have seen our former neighbor customers in grocery stores. That is like, that
Right.
little allegory is a real scenario. Um, and so, yeah, but I love that. I really am all about that lifestyle. And then, yeah, I mean, just being home, more than I was.
Yeah.
I have that flexibility, and it's great.
Yeah. It's fun. You and I talked about this originally, talked about work life integration, and there are challenges around it, right? But there's also, it's like such a blessing. It's honestly a blessing to be interrupted, because you're at home and you're trying to get something done, and but because you have that flexibility, you're going to get interrupted because you know I've got 10-year-old twin boys. They don't. They understand it, but they don't fully understand it. And so if I'm taking a call from the house, they're like, or I'll like be in my truck trying to finish a call when I pull up, and they're
Yep.
just like, "Hey, hey, hey." I'm like, "One minute, 1 minute." But it's such a blessing to have that, as opposed to not engaging with them, not seeing them during the day. I would rather have to tell them 1 more minute so I can finish a phone call than not be home until 6 o'clock, or whatever, not be able to be involved. So
Hmm.
it's totally worth it, at least in my mind.
Hmm.
All right. Well, Stephen, this has been really good conversation. Of course, we have so many conversations as part of the system and part of the franchise team. But as you talking to somebody out there that's listening to this and only have like 100 subscribers. So everybody listening to this is probably thinking about Preserve. And if you're not listening to this and you're just interested in business, that's cool. But most people listening to this and my few subscribers are thinking about business ownership or franchise ownership. Uh, what advice would you give them as they're listening and considering?
Yeah. Um, I'd start with, and I did start with yourself. Really write down, like literally write down what your vision is for your work and for your life and how those two things integrate and what kind of future you want for yourself and for, potentially your family. Um, and then look at Preservin and what they offer and see if that fits
Yeah.
that vision. For me, it was an easy decision based on my criteria. And I think that a lot of folks who do that work will find that this is a great option. Like it really is. And uh, it just takes kind of doing that work on yourself first.
Stephen, thanks for your time, man. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you real soon, man.
Thanks, Sad. Great to see you.